Welcome to the Two Literal Podcast, where we're talking all things fantasy, romantasy, romance, and dark romance books. It could be the latest releases, timeless classics, book news, and anything in between. So grab a drink, some snacks, maybe a book, and if we're live, a phone to call in, because Two Literal is on. Welcome to the Two Literal Podcast. We are back finally with another episode. I am Ricki, and this is Tashee.
Hello. I feel like it's been forever.
And I'm excited. I know I was looking at the old episodes. Has it been like 11 months, right at a year?
Yeah, maybe? I think we've been at a year. I bet you folks have been like, they don't do that anymore.
I know. I feel like people thought we were going to be like a one and done. But we're back.
Right.
So, finally, it's been an interesting year. I didn't obviously do any pictures of that, but I know the beginning of the year, Tashee, you knew my son was super sick and in the hospital and dealing with a lot. And yeah, recovery from that and just life and everything has been a lot.
Yeah, and you tend to have busy summers anyway, so like jumping in from we had like a scheduled break, then your son got sick, and then summer is not. We pretty much have like summers not scheduled on purpose, and then now we're back.
It's been a whirlwind, but so we're literally the opposite because last year we intentionally took a break for the holidays, and now we're getting started like around the holidays, so we're gonna make it work.
Oh.
And yeah, Tashee, why don't you start off? I think with what you've been up to and.
Well, so because I don't have kids, I get to live like a different life. So I think that's another reason why we don't have the same things happening. I've been doing book conferences. So in July, I went to BB4E in Canada. That was fun. It was a lot of authors, and I've never been to Canada before. It was so cheap. Like, I wasn't prepared for how cheap it was, but it felt like home. It wasn't like when I went to Scotland. I got to meet Lee Rivers. I love her dark romance. I don't know if you would love her dark romance because it gets crazy in her books. And I got to meet Melissa Rowick. Have you seen like the Lady of Darkness series? Have you seen that ever? Like just scrolling?
I've seen it, but I haven't read it.
Top tier series. If very much like if you liked Throne of Glass, you'll like kind of like it's like epic fantasy type stuff.
Yeah,
bigger worlds interconnected. She was so nice. She was like school teacher nice. Like she gave me like a front hug with both arms. I also got to go to Austin. I'm at Annie Davenport for the release of her book Our Vicious Oaths, top tier book. It's a standalone. And I got earlier this year, I got to go to Houston to see Tracy Dion for Legendborn. So it wasn't like crazy traveling. My only big trip was Canada, but like I got to see really cool stuff. Legendborn is like top tier series. Best read.
Yeah, you've talked about it. I'm gonna have to pick it up. I'm always kind of envious of the amount of stuff you can do centered around the books and the reading, and that's kind of that's one of our passions. And I don't get to do as much because I have all the other things going on. So I'm excited for you to be able to do all that.
I don't know if I told you, but it's a author signing in Little Rock coming up.
You did, but I can't remember the day you told me.
I think it's the 18th. It's for Ayana Gray for I, Medusa. And she's a Black author.
Okay.
It's see why.
Well, now,
got an arc for it.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been signing us up for as many as we were before because obviously life has been lifing.
I actually got one for Our Vicious Oaths too before I went and saw Annie Davenport. I just, how hard it is for me to do physical reads.
I know. Because the one we read an arc for last year actually came out with book 2 this year. And I'll try to get an image of that so we can show it for next episode. But yeah. So yeah, I've been slacking, as you know.
I was telling Brian and Shayna that, my goal this year is 100 books.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, I have 91 complete. I'm working on 92. So I think
I was going to say, I thought you were on like 92 or something. Yeah. We're not going to talk about my number. But
If you read if you read 10
been
books
tough.
in a year, you're in like the top one, like I think 20% of readers for the US or something like that. It's kind of crazy. So
Yeah, but I like being an overachiever, you know? I miss it. So this summer, I didn't do a whole lot because, like I said, life has been life. But we did have this pre-scheduled trip to Jamaica. So me and my husband always going, and look at him.
God damn.
Okay, so I was reading.
what Brian said.
I was reading through our comments, and I can't remember. I literally went through the episode trying to find where I said this, but they were like, "Shout out to her for finding her Darius."
Wait, what? How did I miss this? How did I miss this?
So there's my Darius. Yeah, so we do an annual trip. Our anniversary is actually in August, our wedding anniversary, but we normally go before that because of like school starting and all that. So that was our anniversary. And then I was so sad because the hurricane just came through there. And so I actually reached out to the person who like helped us all around Jamaica as a whole, not just the city of Montego Bay, but and I'm going to be posting his handles so that we can try to help him. Some of his employees are now homeless and things like that. So that was super sad to me. We had just came from there, and I fell in love with it. Corey that's my husband. He loves when we go down to Mexico a lot more in their culture, but I fell in love with Jamaica. The food, oh my God. Tashee, you would love it.
My mom just came back from a cruise.
And buffet food is notoriously not the greatest. We didn't even bother with the restaurants because it was amazing. It was amazing. So
maybe we should go on a trip.
Yeah, we talked about a cruise, I think, once before. And I really would love to do a girls trip. And I even saw a lady putting together one that just so we can just sit around and read. Now, I am an adventure traveler. I like to snorkel. I like to cliff dive. We get into a lot of things. So a reading trip would be different for me. I don't know how that's going to go, but yeah.
You're snorkeling by yourself. I don't play with the water. The fact I feel like I've told everybody this before, but I'm gonna reiterate it. The fact that the water can just decide at a certain point while you're swimming, now I'm gonna put the weight on you, all my weight on you, and literally crush you. Crazy. I'm good. Spare me the water. But
we were in the water in one of those pictures that Brian pulled up, and the snorkel, which was one of the vendors that we used. He randomly told us, hey, you guys can go off to the edge of the reef. Stop there because you don't want to go too deep and come back to the boat or whatever. And I was just so intrigued. I kept swimming. And all of a sudden, I felt Corey grabbing my ankle and pulling me back. Like, woman, he said, don't go any further.
Yeah,
I'm like a daredevil like that. My husband wants to jump out of planes, and I'm not all for that. But yeah, it was a good time.
And sadly, I would jump out of a plane. I would totally jump out of a plane.
No, I cannot do it. I cannot do it.
Okay. I think we need to address that Jazz isn't here today. Jazz had to work.
Yes.
It's really just Jazz had to work.
But she will be joining us back. She's still part of I almost said a pack, but anyway, she's still part of the team. But yeah, sadly.
What have you been reading? I feel like we've talked a little bit about books and where we've been, but what have you? I'm not judging your numbers. I just want to know what you've been reading. I know.
It's been rough this year. I've been so sad. But I was able to. So while my son was in the hospital, I finished the series. Goodness gracious. We just talked about it. So Powerless by Lauren Roberts was one of them. And actually, I started this series last year, but the last one came out this year. So this book is fantasy, but it's not super spicy.
It's why?
Because it's like a young adult book. Yeah. So it's not super spicy if that's what you like, but I actually enjoyed it. And I think especially the last book had lots of plot twists in there. So the first plot twist we saw, I think were expected because we're hearing it from the main character's perspective. So we already knew what was coming. The other characters just didn't know. So the anticipation was just everybody else finding out. But the last couple of plot twists that came in the last book, I feel like if you aren't a reader like I am and trying to put stuff together, it hits you by surprise. So I think you would enjoy it, Tashee. I know you haven't read it. One of our good friends are reading it, but
I actually have the Audible for it. I just haven't done it. So I guess my 10 before the end can maybe include Powerless, but I'm waiting on a couple of things.
I think you'll like it. They're not super long. And then, like I said, they're not spicy at all. Like the most is in there is smooching. So just FYI.
I mean, I'm a plot girly, so I don't need a whole lot of, anything.
And then the other one that I did finish this year was Children of Blood and Bone. So rewind, back when I was in San Diego, I actually got this book out of that book conference that I went to. Do you remember that?
Yeah, when you were
So I had the physical book, and it was just on my to be read list, and I never did pick it up. But then I heard that they were coming out with actually either a show or a movie for it.
I think it's a movie.
And so I was like, well, let me read this before it comes on screen. And I see that it's supposed to have a really good cast, so I'm excited for it to come out. But yeah, so I finished this complete series now. I did that while I was in the hospital, and that was like my way of staying sane and stuff. So it was really good too.
So I've been reading, obviously, more, but I'm actually kind of sad that I didn't grab a picture of the newest from Blood and Ash, because I really, really, really need you to read that as soon as possible. I have nobody to talk to about this book, and a lot happened. But, I've been working on my TikTok a little bit, and one of the things, because we're doing Zodiac Academy, I noticed this author, R.C. Luna, had a Zodiac thing, and she said it kept being compared to Zodiac Academy. So I read the prequel. I think it's called Zodiac War. Yeah, Zodiac Shadows. That's it. The prequel. Okay. I guess it's kind of spicy. I guess you can say that. Personally, I found it a little grating. I said I'm going to finish because I'm posting on my TikTok about like if it's actually like Zodiac Academy the further along I get in the series. I don't see it. I don't see the comparison other than the lady is Latina. I mean, she doesn't have a twin. She's with her family. They just don't care about her. She grew up in like New York and gangs and stuff, or Miami. See, this is how much attention I'm not paying to it. Yeah, she goes to the military. This is before she goes to the military though in the prequel. Okay. So that was one. When I went and saw Tracy Dion, Oathbound by her is what came out. You got to read this too. It's like King Arthur, like reimagining, but it's obviously about a Black girl. She goes, her mom passes away. This is like book 3, but like just so you can get an idea. Her mom passes away, and when her mom passes away, she ends up going to this school for like a scholarship thing because she's only like 16, but it's like a college. She sees a demon, and then she meets this boy, and she's like, "Hey, I think this secret society has something to do with killing my mom." And he's like, "Cool, I'm like king of this secret society. I told them I quit, but I'll go back for you." And then a whole lot starts happening. You find out about bloodlines and all that kind of stuff. It's so good. And I know I've also been begging you to read Book of Azrael, but book 4 came out in that series, The Wrath of the Fallen. Book hangover, like Onyx Storm book hangover at the end of this book. Like it's so
and I've been seeing a lot more of it on TikTok. So
it's supposed to be a 7 books. It's supposed to be a 7-book series, so like there's no rush. But obviously, if you can get on it. And also, instead of male gray characters, we have female. A female gray character. Okay. Yeah, and I was intentional about reading people of color this year, so I'm kind of happy that I did that with Wrath of the Fallen, Oathbound, and even R.C. Luna's what is that, Zodiac Shadows. Everything was actually a person of color. So, and I also read another book, and I did not like it that much, and I really don't want to talk about it too much, but Ebonea. I read Ebonea by Natavia. My friend was suggesting it to me. The reason I brought this up, outside of my not caring for it, I would still give it like 3-ish stars, right? But did you know that people can have audiobooks on Audible, and it's read with a virtual voice? Like, I use like
Alexa?
Yes, but it's literally, if you go look up this book on Audible right now, when it says like narrator, it says virtual voice.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I still think you would be great at voice acting, but
I've been thinking
I'm just
about
gonna
it.
throw that out there.
I've been thinking about it. I think that would be fun. And honestly, if it can make me stop going into somebody's 9 to 5, why not?
I know, right?
Speaking of which,
So
super random, but the narrators for Zodiac Academy, obviously I follow them on TikTok and I engage when they're live because sometimes they read on their lives on TikTok. Jake commented on my stuff the other day because I posted a funny I posted a funny one about a book they're releasing this month, like the Hollow book. I was like, it could go either way. I don't know which way it's gonna go. And he was like, yeah, wait and see. Like, like I was like, oh my God.
Nice.
They follow me though. So I feel like it's cool.
That's cute.
I just want to tell you that this book was amazing. Do you remember that show? I feel like we talked about this show, First Kill, on Netflix. It was the vampire. Yes. The author of that book, because that was based off a book, wrote this one, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and it's a vampire book too. But when I tell you, it's this girl meets a girl at a party, they sleep together, she wakes up a vampire, so she goes looking for the girl, like, you turned me into a vampire. And then it's like 3 different centuries that you're in 3 different character perspectives, and you don't know what woman the girl in the current one intersected with. Beautiful story, but it's like pretty beautiful, not like crash, wreck watching. Like, it's beautiful. But I'm sorry, I forgot about that one. Go ahead, go back to what you were saying.
No, you're fine. I was going to say that I watched a video of celebrities like fanning out over other celebrities, and I feel like the situation you just described.
Yeah, always. always. Authors are the most fun because, like, they're cool, and I never know what to say. You know what? Remember when I was telling you read Maggie Gray? When I met Innie Davenport, I had a Drew Collins sweater on, which is from Maggie Gray. And she was like, what is that? Okay. I was like, oh, you need to read this. It's so good. She was like, I'm going to read it. I was like, okay. And when you post it in your story, I'll just remind you that I told you to read it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
All right, so let's actually jump into the book. I'm
excited to get on some of those with you sometimes, yes. So the last episode we left off on book 5, and so at the end of book 5, I don't exactly remember how it happened, but anyway, Tori is captured. We find out Diego is a nymph, and he dies. What are some of the big points of book 5 that you would bring up?
You missed the biggest one in book 6. You missed the biggest one, in my opinion. This is, I feel like, am I tripping? But aren't they star-crossed at this point?
Yeah, but that happened. Yes, but that happened maybe
book 5.
Book 4.
No, that was book 5. Book 5, they're star-crossed.
Huh. So, my sister's co-worker, I can't get her to read this one yet, but that's because she's still on Throne of Glass. We're not going to talk about that. Anyway, so she's on book 3 where they're finally just trying to get stuff together. We're talking about Darius and Tori. And so she's all excited for them to like start blooming a relationship or whatever.
I know, poor baby.
She's in for a wild ride. I know. I'm like, I feel like brace yourself.
I feel like I remember the books by their cliffhangers. So we have like Tori almost dying and Darcy's here. Oh, Darcy.
Yes.
The second one we find out we actually don't find out their things until book 2, right?
Yes.
Or, I'm sorry, book 3. Book 3 we find out their orders.
Yes.
Book 2 is them getting through the reckoning or whatever. And they have that big war situation. So we get like it was kind of obvious that Darius and Tori had something going on, but I feel like book 2 kind of solidifies that they're out for one another. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Book 4, I don't even remember what that one was. What that big thing was that happened. Is that the stuff that happened with Lionel? And them getting the shadows and stuff?
It had to have been, when Lionel revealed the shadows and gave them the shadows.
Yeah.
And eventually he's taking over. I can't remember if that's in book 5 or book 4 that he actually took over and named himself king.
Yeah, and then book 5, I feel like the big thing is what's happening now. they're star-crossed, but Tori got them shadows.
Yeah.
So
Tori's captured. She has the shadows. We find out Diego is a
died.
nymph, and then he sacrifices himself. Dear, I feel like we didn't talk about Orion is locked up.
Oh yeah, he's in Darkmoor.
Yeah, so we're seeing, him and Darcy go through their struggles and him being locked up, and the reason that he's locked up, which he sacrificed himself, but I kind of felt like he was stupid anyway. Still for that. What we talked about last time, how it was interesting to me how that was like the pilot for the Darkmoor Penitentiary series, which I really enjoyed reading that.
The introduction, yeah.
Yeah. And so we pick up on book 6. Tori is still captured. I almost expected for book 6 when I first read it through that somewhere in between, like it was going to be a quick getting her back. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I'd like to
like it wasn't going to be this long drawn out thing. I also didn't expect her to be consumed by the shadows, that she was like borderline evil. And all the things. So
almost like her memory was gone or something, like something got erased or disconnected.
And obviously we see that was like tortured into her, unfortunately. And to your point, I agree that Tori went through way lower lows than what Darcy went through. But I think they try to protect her because they see her as fragile. I know you don't like it.
Okay, and it's not even.
I don't think that you dislike Darcy. I think that you just don't agree with people trying to say or saying that she's this strong person when she hasn't been through as much adversity. So yes, I get it.
I think you hit it on the head, because they always want to emphasize you're so strong. What did she do that was so strong? I'm not saying she didn't have adversity. I'm just saying she, in comparison to literally everybody else, not even just Tori, Darius was getting it off. Xavier, I feel like you could make a case for Xavier. Like it's kind of crazy. Yeah, Max, he had a wicked stepmother.
Yeah.
Literally make a case for anybody else. But regardless of that, I personally felt very uncomfortable this whole book, with Tori's relationship, not only to Lionel, but to Clara / what's her name? I cannot think of her name right now.
Well, that doesn't come out until I think 7, actually, or maybe end of 6. Okay. Oh my goodness, what is her name? Anyway, the Shadow Queen.
It happens at the end of 6. I was about to say it's the end of 6, but it's the end of 6 for sure. But I thought at one point Lionel was gonna sleep with her, and it was very, 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 very weird for me. So it was, but I mean, I think it kind of speaks.
I was so happy to see that was not part of it at all, because that probably would have turned me all the way off.
The thing is, though, Lionel is such a scum character. I wouldn't put it past him. I just think, to your point, they didn't save her fast, but they did save her in time. You know what I mean? To spare her from that.
Now, I wonder though, so Lionel's whole, first of all, we got to talk about why she's even there. So Lionel ends up binding her with the guardian bond to him, the same way that Orion is to Darius. So she feels this form of connection to him where she has to protect him. And also she's drawn to him and wanting him and wanting to be by him and stuff. So my question to that would be, I wonder what the author's take on it would be on why Lionel did not push it that far, because it's not above him to do so. Why he chose to not do anything with her physically.
I think for 2 reasons. First, I feel like it was a writer's choice, because obviously it was a writer's choice. But also knowing Lionel, the way we do kind of intricately, unfortunately, he probably would use that as some twisted punishment for them to watch if Darius did something or if she did something that he didn't like. Well, I mean, specifically Darius, because Tori was kind of removed from it. Something I did like, because you just spoke to this a little bit, the fact that so in the Guardian bonds, Orion and Tori are the guardians, so they're protecting Darius and Lionel. Right. Their connection over that later in the book was one of my favorite things to watch. Them being the most prickly of characters outside of Darius, but actually becoming friends was kind of
know,
cool.
Except for the penis punches, but yeah.
They seem to like it.
Yeah, so I said.
Whatever you're into.
That's funny.
Whatever you're into.
That's the funniest inside joke ever, because I mean, obviously, I don't know what that feels like, but I've heard it's painful.
Yep, it is.
So for that to be something they bond over is like the weirdest thing. But yeah, I agree.
Again, Tori being a protector for Darcy. If you hurt my sister, I'll punch you in the penis.
Yeah.
But let's talk about our other friends we haven't brought up. So, Seth and Caleb, what's going on around there?
Okay, so Seth and Caleb are blooming this whole, I don't want to call it romance this early on, but yeah. So they're kind of figuring out that they have feelings for each other. And it's a little weird for them because they've known each other and been groomed to be more like business partners and friends their whole lives since birth. And so I think that Seth specifically, I don't think Caleb knows what he's feeling yet. He just knows that, you know, he's closer to this person than the rest of the group. But Seth is like feeling like, well, I don't want to ruin our friendship and also the dynamic of our whole group because I have feelings for this person, especially seeing as I don't know that we've seen or that Seth himself has ever felt anything towards anybody, really. I mean, I know he had a crush on Darcy, but that was more a power dynamic than it was him actually having feelings for her. And so I think he's trying to navigate. And, you know, he's this whimsical person anyway. So we get a lot of his insight on. Yeah. I didn't know how else to say it. He's like, you know, and I will say the sisters always put somebody in there who has like, you know, I read another book where it was like this and it was very nice to see. But anyway, they always put somebody in there that has a completely almost like off-putting personality. So bubbly. And yeah, like, I said off-putting. What does that say about me? That bouncy people, like, I don't know. Sometimes it's a little.
I was about to say, like, I could see Seth being off-putting initially, especially the way we experienced him at the beginning of the series. But like, Leon is the same person, and nothing about him is off-putting to me.
He
is. But like, he was genuinely nice the whole time.
Leon, I was gonna say, I guess part of it is that maybe it is because we see Seth in the beginning of the series. He was bouncy, but also vindictive. And we never saw that with Leon. He was either super bouncy towards you or he was not evil, but like assertive. Like he wasn't like that to people that.
It was that time. It was the times that people did stuff without him and he made it a whole thing. Like, remember they had to dress Ryder up in they had to dress Ryder up in the snake costumes and do the photo shoot for Leon to chill. But back to this series, I think one of the things that I'm pretty sure this is when Rosalie props up and Seth and Caleb have their moment with her. Didn't that happen in this book?
I don't think, no, that was a couple of books ago because by the time 6 comes around, but by the time 6 comes around, it's almost all dark. So we see Lionel's in charge. They're separating people by their orders, you know.
Eugene is around then, if that's happening. Poor Eugene, after getting all them good luck stones, he got sent away. Eventually he comes out, and then they have to catch Tori to try to get the shadow. I mean, it's like a lot of dark. This was a pretty dark one of the series. Since you brought that up, one of the things that I feel like we have to mention for this book is like the forward of the book is a prophecy from Gabriel about how dark this book is. Like, don't read it if you can't handle it or everything's happening. I think my favorite part of this whole book is the wedding. When the wedding's about to happen.
Oh, yeah. I was like, which wedding? But okay.
Yeah, the wedding with that dragon girl. I can't even remember her name, and I hate her so much.
Yes, the cousin.
I want to call her Gertrude so bad, and that is not that lady's name.
That's not her name. Why can't I remember anybody's names?
Because that's how.
First of all, what is Lionel's obsession with lining up weddings? Like, I don't understand. I think he forced Orion's parents to be married. He tried to force Dante to marry the other dragon whose name I also don't remember, but she was never a main character. But still,
Juniper. I know her name. Her name was Juniper.
Okay. So he forced that to happen. And I do understand that he likes these certain power dynamics, but like, why force it in marriage specifically?
Well, I think two things. He forces people of the same orders to marry. So I think there's a strengthening of the bloodline type thing happening. But also, another thing is, he's orderous. That feels so weird to say, like in our real life, where that's not a real thing. But he's orderous to begin with. But also, if the vampires are going to be protecting him, you would want strong ones. Obviously.
Yeah.
It feels very regal, like his intention behind it, very much like how old families in real life used to marry cousins and uncles and aunties, like to keep the blood pure. I feel like he's even said this before, that he kind of wants a pure bloodline.
And I guess, yeah. What I don't understand is this has been going on for at least a full generation, and now the second generation of people that he's doing the same thing to. Why have the other counselors and heirs not banded together to try to bring him down before now? Like, there were so many opportunities for them to see what he would turn into before it got to this point.
I think they didn't think there was no way for him to turn into more than what he was. And also, I think it's easy to miscalculate somebody who wasn't supposed to be in the role to begin with. So you don't know what their strengths are. You know what I mean? Because remember, his brother was was their friend and was supposed to be in that role. They didn't know that he killed his brother. Like they didn't know how conniving, I guess, for lack of a better term, he was. Maybe he was off-putting, but like just because somebody's hard to work with doesn't mean he wasn't supposed to be there. So obviously they're probably discounting his actions because he wasn't supposed to be there to begin with. So yeah, he's weird.
Yeah.
And they used to pick on him. Lame Lionel.
I know. So, I was reading book 7 for the next episode, and that was brought up again. So we'll talk more about the lame Lionel, because he has a whole expert on it. And so back to the wedding, I was so excited, but also tickled at the scene where they were supposed to be trying to consummate, and then it ends up not being her.
Darius was in his feelings, oh my God, how did I get here?
But the fact that he was actually going to go through with it, nothing in his mind. Now he later says, okay, I was going to do something to stop it, but it didn't seem like that in the moment.
Like you had already married that lady.
And Darius is like, wait, they're balls. So that was very interesting. And they went through a whole ceremony, and it ends up being Gabriel the whole time with an illusion, only for her to be locked up in the closet somewhere, which I think that actually comes out in book 7, not book 6.
It's kind of funny though that that happened, but they always talk about how illusions, if you look at them too hard, you can tell that it's an illusion. Yeah. Thank God Gabriel has the sight, because I would assume people would be looking at the bride. I would assume Lionel. It's because she's ugly. Go ahead, say it. It's because she's ugly.
I was going to say maybe not.
It's because she's ugly, but also I think because Lionel would expect Darius to do something wrong, he would be watching. But I guess he had Tori as leverage, and she had to sit in the front seat or the front row. That was never going to happen. I also want to point out that this is the book where things have been slowly getting amicable between the girls and the guys, but this is where I feel like they established their friendship for real. This is where even if they're not on the same page about who should rule, as far as them being a family and being friends, they are on the same page about that. So I feel like that's pretty great. And we also get to see a bit more of Xavier, which I feel like I like his little sprinkle ins. They're cute to me. Okay? Yeah. They're cute.
Yeah, I like Xavier. I like that he's on campus and getting a herd and all of that stuff. Him and Tyler's feud is the funniest thing to me, but mostly because we know that they can be super I want to say fierce, but that's the wrong word, especially for what I'm trying to describe. They can be very, not masculine, but just macho too. But then in the ways that they show that as their order, which is a unicorn.
It's a Pegasus.
I'm sorry, Pegasus. Sorry. So as a Pegasus, the way that they show it, like stomping their feet and stuff like that, it's just always so cute to me. Like you see it as like a little kid, but they're being really serious about it.
I don't know. If a horse like aggressively stomped and neighed at me, I wouldn't be like, it's cute. I'd be like, oh my God, somebody get the runaway horse. Especially the one with a deadly horn. And it can fly.
With wings, stomps at you and glitter pops out, then how does that look? I mean, it just doesn't seem super.
You know what? You might
super
win.
Like intimidating, but I mean, yeah.
You might have won.
But I love their banter. To me, I kind of like how they turn out wasn't a surprise to me because of how, and maybe because we've read before and how these sisters write. So it wasn't a surprise to me how they turn out later on in the series. But yeah, I'm excited that he's out. I still feel like Tori saved him by using the video that she posted, but so that his dad couldn't hide what his order was and stuff like that. So I'm excited about seeing him bloom. And I honestly wish we saw more. I understand why we see more of Xavier, but I honestly wish we saw more of the spares in that way because we don't get a lot of their perspective like at all. We see them and we see other people talking to them, but I don't feel like we see a lot of their specific points of view.
There is some talk of like there being a spinoff specifically with the two spares that kind of show interest towards each other. I know we haven't addressed that, so I don't want to give too much away. But yeah, there's talk of spinoff. Speaking of which, this is like related, unrelated. With that new book coming out by the sisters, if you pre-order the series, you get a different epilogue for ZA. So just throw that out there. But I think also we didn't talk about my homegirl, my favorite girl, Geraldine. I just love the family aspect that is building right now between Catalina and Geraldine's dad, and how she's like extra embracing Darius and Xavier to be her brothers, for lack of a better term. Yeah. I love that.
So, but did we talk about how Catalina even got there?
No, go ahead.
So, at some point, long story short, fake Catalina's death because they see that Lionel is going like cray-cray.
He's headed that way.
They get Catalina out of the castle and they fake her death. I can't remember how they made it seem like she should have died and whatever happened, but they take her away and she ends up being with goodness, what is his name?
Mr. Gruss. That's all I'm going to get.
Hamish. But what is his first? I can't remember. Hamish. Okay. She ends up being with him and they like live together. She has a illusion over her so nobody knows that she's Catalina, but her kids and, everybody in their circle knows who it is. And so, I'm excited seeing that bloom. Obviously, we've read all the way through. So I also liked seeing, what comes of that eventually. So I'm excited seeing her. And then also I feel like we see her open up a lot more, like what she actually wants outside of just being loyal to the sisters too. And so we don't just see her becoming a sibling to somebody, but we see her actually forming feelings for Max and actually expressing those feelings openly, and talking to the sisters more and with like what she actually wants and things like that. And I enjoyed that. I think when we first meet her way in the beginning, like she was just this annoying person, but we've gotten to know this person who is not only super loyal, but like has a lot of like deep things going on. So
not even just that, like, I think initially she was kind of portrayed, like you said, like annoying, but also like she is such a good friend to them, even if it's in her own Geraldine, like, I thought that Diego and Sophia would be like their number one friends, but Geraldine has literally surpassed them. She's not scared to stand up to the heirs or anything like that. So that's kind of cool too. I think another big thing was, okay, I'm just going to say it. I feel like we're probably getting to the end of time, so we got to go ahead and get to the meat and bones. Darius's deal that he makes at the end. When you were reading this, if you can recall, initially the first time, how did you feel when you read that? Oh, and I guess you got to explain what the deal is first before you go too far into your feelings about it.
Oh, okay. So at the end of the book, all hell breaks loose. The war actually starts between the rebels and Lionel and his, what do they even call it? I mean, if they're
Kingdom.
rebels, what would Lionel's side be? But anyway, yeah. Okay, so it turns out that Geraldine and her dad and all the rebels have always had this plan and have been planning to get everybody away for some time, obviously. So when all hell breaks loose, at the end of it, first of all, we see Darcy has a curse. Lavinia is her name, by the way. We see Clara die. Lavinia is exposed, who is the Shadow Queen that's been controlling Clara this whole time in her body. And so Lavinia ends up cursing Darcy. All of a sudden, we see Gabriel and Darius kind of go away. So from the battle and all of this. And long story short, he makes a deal with the stars, or a deal with, I guess it is the stars, but I don't know. I can't remember how this came about to where he could even speak to them. But he makes a deal that if he lives for one more year, then not only do his friends get to live through this one battle, but also all of the bonds that have been set. So the star bonds, which would be them being star-crossed, and also the guardian bonds are lifted. And so he gives his life after a year. He gets to live with him for a year and whatever comes of that. But in return, he gets to be able to be with Tori, and all of the guardian bonds and things are lifted. You can see in the battle, Tori loses her guardian bond to Lionel and blows off his arm. I'm so excited about that. And then they kept bringing it up like this charm nub. It's like they kept emphasizing it. I was so excited. And then Orion's bond to Darius is gone. And then, of course, their rings disappear from being star-crossed. So I was excited from the fact that, okay, they could be together now, but then a year's time. But at the same time, I was kind of hopeful that something would happen where he wouldn't actually die in that year. And, we see how he handles that in book 7, because obviously he has to come back and explain, first of all, where he was and eventually tell people, okay, this is how I did it. But I was disappointed in the fact that he wasn't open about it at first of all. And secondly, just to not see anything being done to really not let this happen. Like they found a way around everything else. Surely they can find a way around this. So at first I was sad, but it's like my heart was pumping. But at the same time, I'm like, but surely something's going to happen and they're not going to really, this is not going to really happen.
I mean, fantasy makes you feel like anything is possible all the time. I would also like to note that the stars are assholes. The sisters always say they're the stars, but the stars are assholes. Just because you made that deal with him, knowing that, like, spoiler alert for other books we're going to talk about, that Lionel is a big bad, but not the only big bad that they're that they're battling, and that the stars were kind of like keeping to themselves, like to preserve themselves. Speaking of which, related, unrelated, in the Primal of Blood and Blown, you already know what's kind of going on there from Blood and Ash. Poppy kind of tells the Fates that you guys keep saying balance because you're protecting yourselves, and I very much feel like the stars were doing the same things. You guys are scary.
Yeah.
So you say like this has to happen this way because you're scary. I think it's very much the things that are quote unquote in control are not necessarily in control. They've found a happy medium where it keeps them safe. So they say this is what control looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that Tori and Darcy are the only ones that could ever call this out, because everybody else is just always how it's been. They know a life where you really do have kind of free will and things like that. The people in Solaria don't know that because they've only ever lived under the stars and their, I would say reign, but they're somewhat manipulation of things. So it's interesting to see. I read a book at one point and it wasn't the stars controlling everything in the way that it was like fates and stuff. It was actually a coven of witches. And anyway, long story short, it eventually comes out that those witches were controlling things that way to benefit them, just like you said, the stars are doing. And so it's just interesting to see that dynamic, and the fact that Tori and Darcy are the only ones that ever really call that out. Like you never see anybody else even curse them, like being upset with them. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but yeah, so we're at the end of book 6. They end up having this big battle. They go to Mr. Gruss's, which, okay, I don't understand.
They don't really get there just yet.
Okay. So they just get whisked away at the end of it.
It's not his house. It's like a safe house. It's like a big illusion because I was like, because remember you gotta like state your intentions and stuff before you can even walk in. We kind of end with everybody riding on Dante.
Yeah. Okay. Dante and because Darius wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see him actually show up and fighting and stuff. And they didn't allude to Elise and like all the other cast members also being there fighting. And I was excited to see that. I know that the big roles that we see is basically Gabriel from the previous series, but yeah.
This is my favorite time of Zodiac Academy. I feel like nothing really, I don't want to say it didn't matter, but everything before book 6 is very forgetful. Like you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like talking about the Reckoning when we talked about it, I was like, I barely remember that book. I barely remember they actually had to do something or they had the numbers over their head. I remember it now because we've done this, reread and talking about it. But book 6 on is kind of where I'm like most interested about everything that happens. Book 7, I feel like, is a big deal. Maybe not book 8, but book 7 is like one of the bigger ones to me because I think that's when I actually started waiting for new books to come out for Zodiac Academy. Really? I was able to go through all of them. I was surprised
to hear you say that because I remember reading through book 7 and you were talking about how there weren't a lot of huge moments going on. I don't want to spoil it for next episode, but that it's like you were anticipating what was to come because nothing big had come yet. I think so. Yeah, I'm excited to see your take on that.
I think because the tide changes a little bit of like what we're experiencing in the story. Like the girls were figuring themselves out a lot. This is more about like fighting the big bad. Like for the first 2 or 3 books, we think that the freaking heirs are the big bad, not necessarily Lion Hall. So like
that's true.
Like when we get to book 6 through 7, it's kind of like not to give spoilers, but I just felt like book 7 was misleading. I think I'll die on that hill. Like it was going so good for so long that it just was like, oh my God, the sisters don't write like this. Something big and bad is coming. Like that's just, it was, especially after we had just did book 6 and it has a whole prophecy prelogue, that's like, hey, get prepared for this to suck. And then the other book isn't sucking as bad and then it does. So
yeah,
I think that's all I have to say about book 6 for the most part.
Yeah, so book 6 is wrapped up. We're at the end. So we're at the start of the actual war now that we've been leading up to. And then next episode, we'll talk about book 7. And so we're in the midst of sides being like a line being drawn in the sand and you're picking a side at this point. So I'm excited for us to be back and us to be talking about these. And as always, let us know if there's anything that you picked up in the book that we didn't discuss, or even some of the smaller books, not even smaller books, but something that you would suggest us reading. I haven't been reading as much because life has been going on, but I do think I'll have more time in the last couple months of the year. So I'm excited to see some suggestions from Tashee, but also from you guys.
Yeah, and if you disagree with something we said, I say leave a comment too. Let us kind of go back and forth. I think we should start kind of like bringing up some of the comments we see, so we can kind of like address our differences or what we thought. But I have nothing more to add as of right now. What about you?
That's all we got. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Thank you for tuning in.